Most people teaching shadow work are just reading from textbooks they didn't write. They quote Carl Jung, define the subconscious, and sell you a generic map of a terrain they have never actually walked. But true spiritual authority doesn't come from citations, it comes from scars. If you are tired of the mass market approach to healing and you are ready for the raw, unvarnished truth of what it actually takes to achieve cosmic oneness from someone who survived the fire, welcome to Unspoken Chronicles. Any serious person looking to get started in shadow work needs to understand the massive commitment they are making. This is not a casual journey. If you begin shadow work before experiencing enlightenment, you will make significant progress toward your ultimate spiritual goals. However, if you start shadow work after achieving enlightenment, as I did, the process shifts entirely. You will not only break free from the concept of sin, but you will also become one with it. This is a state that exists beyond traditional enlightenment. It is the highest position you can obtain in our universe, a state where you become the divine yourself, fully whole, and completely integrated into absolute oneness. What is expected of you? Now that we have discussed what you will receive, let's talk about what is expected from you. To walk this path, you must invest your time, a genuine desire for wholeness, a sincere willingness to choose a different route than you previously selected, an authentic drive to become your true self and the raw strength to keep going, even in the darkest times. Lesson: the premium toll. True shadow work cannot be done half-heartedly. The universe demands a total exchange of your old identity, time, and comfort in return for divine wholeness. So, what is so dark about shadow work, and why is this process so crucial? The answer lies in the masks we wear every day. Most humans, including yourself, wear different masks for different circumstances. These masks are not inherently bad, in fact, we actually need them to function in the modern world. Consider these 3 real-world examples. The professional mask. A customer service representative puts on a mask every single time they clock into work. Regardless of whether they had a brutal day, got into a fight with their partner, or experienced a personal tragedy, they must smile, remain professional, and provide outstanding service. They must make the customer feel valued, choosing to perform their role perfectly despite whatever pain they experienced right before their shift. The peacekeeper mask. Susan is invited to the annual family holiday party. She and her relatives know that Bob, the arrogant, boastful drunk dating a close family member, will be there. Everyone dislikes him and gossips behind his back, wishing the relationship would end. However, the family really only has 2 options. They can be blatantly rude to Bob's face and trigger an explosive family drama, or they can put on a polite mask, greet him like anyone else, and keep their opinions to themselves. To keep the peace, most people choose the mask of silence. But putting on this mask does not make their true feelings magically disappear, they have simply suppressed their thoughts for a worthy cause. The protector mask. Steve comes home after an exhausting day at work. His computer crashed, wiping out hours of critical work, leaving him devastated and highly agitated. His wife understands the day he had, but his young children have no idea. To them, Dad is finally home, and it is time to play. Steve can either reject his kids by telling them he is too upset to be around them, or he can put on his dad mask. Most loving parents will choose to sacrifice their own emotional comfort, putting on the mask to play with their kids so the children aren't negatively impacted by the outside world. These masks are incredibly important for maintaining relationships, jobs, and the overall stability of a family. The real problem arises when we forget that we are wearing a mask and begin to believe that the mask is our true self. Once you play a role long enough, the separation between the actor and the character blurs. Before you know it, the mask you originally built just to fit into society becomes the identity you claim as me. When this happens, a deep, painful internal separation forms inside of you. This happens to every single human being on Earth, no one is excluded. Shadow work is the only remedy for this division. It dissolves the internal separation and brings you back to who you truly are. At the end of this journey, you may choose to show everyone the real you, or you may continue to wear your masks in the world as needed. But one thing is guaranteed: you will finally know yourself, and you will love yourself exactly as you are. Lesson: the actor and the role. Masks are vital tools for survival, but they become traps when we forget we put them on. Shadow work isn't about destroying your masks, it is about remembering who you are when you take them off. If you wish to undertake this journey, a quick search on YouTube or Google will yield endless streams of information. You will find video after video of people reading directly from books, quoting Carl Jung, and repeating the exact same textbook definitions of what shadow work is and how it is supposed to end. I call that the Walmart approach. It is mass-produced information built for the crowd. What I teach is the Bloomingdale's version of shadow work. My teachings do not come from a textbook or someone else's pages. They come entirely from my direct, personal experience. What I share with you are things I was never told, but things I actually lived through, suffered through, and successfully integrated to achieve total oneness. When I went through my own shadow work, I had no choice but to use the generic Walmart approach because it was the only information available at the time. You, however, have a choice. You can use the mass market model, the experiential method I teach, or a blend of both. Both paths can lead to the same destination, but they offer completely different variations. Naturally, I believe my approach is superior because it prepares you for what you will actually encounter on the ground, delivered by someone who has personally walked through the fire. I am going to share my actual trauma, my raw experiences, and the exact, real-world solutions that worked for me. I will show you every hidden corner you are bound to run into, giving you the unique tips and tools I personally created to keep moving forward when things got impossibly dark. The table of contents. Mapping your journey. Before we dive deep into specific phases in future videos, let us map out the general timeline of shadow work so you can prepare yourself mentally and eliminate any surprises. We will look at these phases ranked by the amount of time you will typically spend in each one, starting with the largest investment. Phase 1. Inner child healing, the largest time investment. This is the most critical stage of the journey. This is where your heart and your soul are systematically healed from the inside out. This phase requires you to travel back in time to your earliest memories, drag them into the light of awareness, and analyze exactly how those early experiences have impacted your entire adult life. For example, when I was very young, my parents taught me not to cry, scream, or cause a scene. This is standard parenting. A parent's job is to teach a child to behave, especially in public spaces. However, because my toddler mind could not comprehend the nuance of, we are in public right now, I only understood one absolute rule. I am not allowed to cry or scream. My young mind didn't care about the location, it only felt the suppression of my emotions. An incident like that seems completely harmless on the surface. Yet, it is precisely these types of childhood moments that embed themselves into a child's psyche and shape the masks they will wear for the rest of their lives. In my case, that small event forced me to build a mask that hid my tears, kept my emotions tightly locked inside, and prevented me from sharing my true feelings with anyone. When you begin shadow work, you will finally see the exact root causes behind the masks you wear today. By finding out why they were put there in the first place, you gain the power to remove them and see the true self that has been waiting behind them since childhood. Lesson. The toddler's law. The adult ego is governed by the survival rules written by a misunderstood child. Healing requires going back to update those rules with adult wisdom. Phase 2. Shadow fragment integration. Once the daily masks are stripped away, you will finally face the raw, unpolished pieces of your true self. This phase requires you to gently integrate those hidden fragments back into your core identity to become whole. This stage presents intense, unique challenges, most of which stem from your own ego fiercely resisting the parts of yourself you have rejected. For example, if you met me in real life, you would think I am an exceptionally caring, giving, generous, and selfless person. I routinely choose other people's happiness over my own, sacrificing my comfort for theirs. However, there are times when I am completely burned out, emotionally drained, and exhausted. In those moments, I can be selfish, choosing my own immediate needs over anyone else's. During my integration phase, my ego fought me tooth and nail before it would allow me to accept the label, selfish, as a legitimate piece of who I am. Your ego will fight just as hard to protect its curated image. Lesson. The paradox of wholeness. To become whole, you must embrace the exact opposite of who you think you are. You cannot claim true selflessness until you have looked your inner selfishness in the eyes and given it a place at your table. Phase 3. Cosmic oneness, the ultimate extension. The final phase is not strictly part of traditional shadow work, but rather an advanced extension for those who have mastered the previous lessons and wish to reach the peak of their spiritual evolution. Once you complete personal ego shadow work, phases 1 and 2, the work expands from the individual self to the universe at large. This is soul-level, universal shadow work. It forces you to look past the individual, I, of the ego and recognize the interconnected shadow and light in all things. Completing shadow work at this cosmic level unlocks the ultimate door, absolute, undivided oneness. Lesson. The dissolution of I. Personal healing frees the individual, but universal shadow work dissolves the individual entirely. The final prize of this dark work is realizing you are not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a single drop.